So Mark, you are a world-renowned painter with a very distinctive style. Tell me how you got started.
15 years ago I was sitting in a restaurant in Rotorua with my last wife, and there was a painting on the wall and it looked awful, and I thought I could probably do better than that. And so I tried, I couldn't. You know, it was meant to be a woman with red hair, it looked like a lizard with a red helmet.
And that's your most famous work, is it?
Yeah.
I think I've done that exact painting myself. So, I mean, how did you go from drawing lizards with red hair to the amazing stuff you produce right now?
Well, I guess, you know, if we try anything once, you know, it's pretty hopeless. And so my second was better than my first, and my third was better than my second. And at that stage I committed to 100 paintings. I got in an Excel spreadsheet and typed in 1 to 100 and thought if I could improve by 10% per painting, you know, what would that mean after 100 paintings? And what it means, I should be better by 1,257%. And so I started looking for the 10%, and, you know, it was very easy to find it at the start.
Yeah.
I look for 1% now.
So when did you first produce a painting that you thought, yeah, you know what, that's pretty good?
My 101st painting is the first one that I did that I thought I like everything about it.
Wow. I
started my own style on my 24th painting, which was a massive step for me, but you know, I was just floundering around. I wanted to stay out of the art school. I believe there's tremendous uniqueness and naivety. And so I thought, well, if I can fumble my way through, hopefully I'll be able to find something.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a long road to actually arrive at something that you would call success.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Dylan sums it up best for me. He says, you know, a man's successful if he gets out of bed in the morning, does whatever the hell he wants to do, and goes to bed that night. And, you know, I think that's a pretty good motto to live to.
Awesome. So how did your work become really prominent? How did you find yourself in the public eye?
Well, I immediately went to London, and you know, you turn up with you know, a couple of years practice behind you. You've been full-time for a couple of months, and you're someone overnight. And by absolute fluke, the very first painting that I sold in London was to a man who owned a Le Mans race car team. And about 4 years later he phoned me up and said, you know, I met you all those years ago in a restaurant in London, and you know, would you be interested in designing my art car? And my Le Mans car, and of course at that stage I didn't really even know what Le Mans was.
Yeah.
So I said yes immediately, and he said to me, you know, there's good news and bad news. The good news is I don't want to pay you anything to do it.
That was the good news, was it?
Yeah, but, well, and the good news for me is, you know, there's 386 million people watch the race. And so we know common sense that before you can sell anything to anyone, they need to know of your work. And so it's just a fabulous opportunity really to be seen by so many people, and you know, things really just took off from there. Yeah,
well, anyone in any kind of endeavour or business would love to be seen by 386 million people. Yeah,
it all starts with awareness, doesn't it? And I was fortunate that that was in 2007, and I was on the cover of the Auckland phone book, so between the two of them it was a wonderful year.
Yeah, well, your style is really distinctive, like people would recognise it. How have you developed that style?
At the start, it became obvious that, you know, we know in common sense, you know, you need a brand to market anything. And so I sort of thought, well, I want a brand, I want a style. And I didn't really know how to go about that. I looked up on the internet and typed in the word creativity, and the first quote I came up with was Albert Einstein saying, you know, true creativity is not revealing your sources. And I sort of thought, well, that just means he's stealing ideas. You know? And so that's what I did. I picked 3 of my favourite artists. I imagined that we all sat at the table together, and I was to sketch whatever they would typically put into their work. And I thought, you know, this guy would elongate their limbs, and this guy would add a personality, and this guy would add imagination. And that was the start of my brand. And you know, we disguise it as influence, but really it's theft.
So I love the idea that you're kind of role modelling people that you admire and taking a little bit of experience from each one.
Yeah, I think we all do that. You know, we just steal a bit off everyone and bring it together and call it ourselves.
Yeah. In fact, haven't you written a book along these lines?
Just started. Yeah, I just finished a book called Steal What You Want, 10 Secrets of an Artist.
Don't go robbing a bank, everyone, okay?
Yeah,
he doesn't mean that. Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about the book.
Well, it's often difficult to get artists to sit down and share ideas. You know, the perception is that someone's going to steal your ideas and run off and become famous, but you know, the bluntness is that you can be, you know, you can read a book on how to fly a plane, but you shouldn't be given the controls, and so most of creativity is just, you know, pulling things together, and so the more you learn, the more you share, the more things you've got to literally pull together.
Yeah. So what advice would you give anyone in any endeavour about actually getting the success that they want to create?
What I did was, I was 39 years old at the time when I started being serious with it, and I thought, you know, in 21 years' time I turned 60, and if I could turn out to be anyone, who would that person be? And so I got a piece of paper and just wrote down, you know, all these wonderful things about where I'd sell my artwork and to who and what I would do and how I would do it, and what I love about that is it gives you a very clear roadmap to. And so that when an opportunity like the Le Mans car comes along, for example, you go, does this fit within my plan or does it not? So it becomes a very good decision-making tool as well. So for me, I think it's really important that you should know where you want to end up.
Yeah, cool. So in a nutshell, what would your advice be?
Oh, get a plan of where you want to end up, and then just learn and learn and learn and learn.
Yeah,
you know, and don't stop learning.
Well, listen, thank you for sharing all the tips and techniques that we can steal
Yes.
and put into our own success.
Thank you.